Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Apocalypse Rising 2 video. So today we have a brand new update to go over, featuring a bunch of new stuff like lighting, power, attachments, firearm changes, and a whole lot more. So we're going to go into the patch notes, take a look at some of the changes. If you enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. And in the comments below, let me know what you think of the update. But other than that, let's get started. So starting off, first thing we have is power and lights. We have added indoor and outdoor dynamic lighting, added indoor light switches, 4 handheld light tools, which give you a nighttime brightening effect when you use the lights, 6 power regions and power substations to control the power, added power routing and power controllers to substation, power routing controls to the power station, and basically some technical changes. So now the first thing to go over, obviously, is the addition of lights all across the map. Even coming to a place like Ashland, you can see how much different and just overall better the town looks and how the game looks with the new lights. You can see that even the outside has street lights, and for every building you go into, there's also lights you could turn on and off with switches for multiple rooms. And I mean, like, pretty much every room in the game has lights, and you could control the power with switches everywhere. So yeah, at first it's pretty fun to just run around and turn off the lights and stuff like that and just turn them back on and mess with them. But really, they're a nice addition to the game. It makes it look a lot more alive, and just makes the game just look a whole lot better, to be honest. So obviously, with the addition of lights in the game comes the addition of power. And right now, it's like a pretty simple system, but the basics of it are there's multiple substations found around the map. For example, this one found in the power plant controls the entirety of Barkley Island. So from here, you would go to the substation, and you're able to switch the power off for the area. And you go ahead and do that, and it says SO3 powering down. If you come outside now, while it powers off, you can kind of see the whole animation, everything turning off. The power goes off, and literally everything goes dark. The lights in the buildings don't work anymore across the whole entire island. But that's really about it. And you can only control like certain areas of the map. And if somebody wanted to turn the power back on, they would have to come to this specific spot on the island and turn it back on. They can't turn it back on from anywhere else. However, you still need to get your power routed, which you could just do by holding this button down before turning the power on. So once the power is routing, then you can switch the power back on. Well, although it might seem a little confusing at first, it's pretty basic, at least for now. Yeah, just to add on to this, like if you come up here in the power plant, there's also this control room where you can see like what substations on the map are powered. I'd imagine in the future, as Gusmanak said in the patch notes, you're going to be able to have to like route power to different locations on the map, because there's not going to be enough power for every spot on the map. So here is where you would kind of control that. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but for now, this room is not that important for controlling power. And there's also been 4 tools added for the purpose of giving off light. So yeah, the first one here is just like a normal flashlight. And when you turn it on, it gives you the light right in front of you. But it also changes the brightness on your screen altogether. Like as you see, while I turn it on and off, the brightness on my screen changes, whether it's on or off. Which is a pretty nice bonus to the flashlights. Otherwise, you just have this long light right in front of you. Then next up is a survival flashlight. And then there's the military flashlight. And then finally, there's also a nice little lantern. So that wraps it up for the additions with power and lights. And at the bottom, Gusmanak says here, the initial implementation of the power system is not going to resemble the final product. Currently, substations can self-manage their power, but in the future, a stronger emphasis will be put towards the power plant for directing where power can go on the map. For now, there's enough power for every region, but this may not be the case long term. There is a lack of purpose for power beyond the lighting, but this will be expanded on in the future. So obviously right now the power system is just a little basic, but I'm sure in the future there's going to be a little more to it than just lights, and it's going to be a lot more interesting than just turning buttons on and off. So moving on to vehicles, there's not really anything added with them, except that you could choose what seat you want to get in when you're getting in a vehicle now, instead of just being put straight into the driver's seat. You get to choose if you want to be a passenger or a driver, and more to that, you could also choose like what specific passenger seat you want to be in. So moving on to a pretty big one, firearms. First off, rebalanced all firearm effective ranges, rebalanced all firearm damage values, rebalanced most firearms aimed and rebalanced most firearm aimed and hipfire accuracy values, rebalanced some firearm fire rate values, added aim time to all firearms, And obviously firearms no longer instantly enter the aim state. Adjusted general handling speed of all firearms. Added 4 underbarrel attachments, 3 grips, 1 laser. And all these attachments, they modify some of the stats that have been adjusted, like aim time, recoil, sway, hipfire accuracy. Some new stats to the firearm tooltips. Change how the on-screen crosshair sizes itself based on the equipped firearm's hipfire accuracy stat. So depending on how good your gun is at hip firing, your crosshair is going to either tighten or is going to get wider. And just some bug fixes here at the bottom. This new update is the implementation of different ADS speeds for different weapons. So if you go ahead and take a look at the snub nose and aim it down, while it's not instant, it's pretty fast. Compared to what it was earlier, is we would right click and pretty much like literally you would just instantly aim down sights. And if you switch over to a gun like the XM, you could definitely tell the difference now. It's a lot more smoother, and while it's not necessarily fast, it's not necessarily slow either. And then if we go switch over to a gun like the PKM over here, you could definitely tell the difference now. So you could definitely see how much slower it is compared to the pistol, compared to the PKM, and then the XM. And then the PKM again. A pretty big change when it comes to combat in this game. I know some people don't really like it. However, I do think people are going to grow used to it. And I think people will realize that it's a nice addition to the game, because it just adds like another layer of depth for combat to make it a little more fun, a little more tactical, I'd say. You can't just like pop out and just aim at someone right away. You know, you kind of just have to you just got to think one more step now. Next up, we have the first ever implementation of grips into the game, at least ones that work. So there's 3 different kinds of grips that all affect 3 different kinds of stats. So the first one here, the short foregrip, provides a significant decrease to recoil and a moderate increase to aim speed. The straight foregrip provides a moderate decrease to recoil and a moderate decrease to aim sway. And the folding grip gives you a significant decrease to aim speed and a moderate decrease to aim sway. For example, if we put the short foregrip on this XM here, you're going to immediately notice that the aiming speed has become a lot more faster. And as well, the recoil is a lot less. And then if we put on a grip like the folding foregrip, which has a significant increase to aim speed, but a moderate decrease to aim sway, the recoil is not going to change at all, but the aim speed is going to be the best out of the 3 grips. And obviously, it becomes a lot more faster. I'm not going to go through like every grip on every gun, because they all affect guns a lot differently. But, you know, just reading the description of the grip, you can get a basic idea of what they're going to do for every gun. So with the grips getting their own attachment effects, so did the other attachments that were already in the game. For example, sights like the CQR has a slight increase to aim speed. The OCR has a slight increase to aim accuracy and a small increase to aim sway. And in the game previously, suppressors all acted the same, they just all look different. But now that is no longer the case. With the military suppressor, so for example here, the military suppressor removes the bullet tracer while firing and gives you a small decrease to aim speed. But for the lowest tier suppressor, the oil filter, you get a significant decrease to aim speed and a significant decrease to effective range as well. So if I go ahead and shoot the zombie, I'm going to do 25 damage. If I take it off, I do 30. So, oil filters, they might be a really common suppressor, but they're going to have its downfalls. While a suppressor like the military suppressor, you have a smaller decrease to aim speed, but you don't have to worry about having that really bad damage drop off like the oil filter suppressor. So the final attachment that we have to go over is the laser sight. And the stat boost it gives is significant increase to hipfire accuracy and a moderate increase in aim speed. This is my favorite attachment. One, I like the stats it gives you. I think it kind of fits my playstyle. And when you put it on, it actually works. Go ahead and put it on. You can see the laser coming out of my gun. And then you can see the dot appear wherever you look. Yeah, I just think it's just kind of cool to look at and watch it move around while you look around. So yeah, that about finishes it up for attachments that have been added to the game. I really like the implementation of all these new attachments. Hopefully it introduces like a lot more variety in what people use all the time. And I think just customizing your gun to how you like it is a lot more fun than obviously what we had before. And really the last thing I have to talk about with firearms is the balancing changes. And honestly, there's just way too much to go over. Literally every gun in the game got changed with their max damage and their range and their accuracy. But for the basics of it, some guns became one less shot to kill. Some guns became one more shot to kill, like machine pistols and snipers, which is a big change. However, to compensate for snipers being 3-shot, most guns' effective range got completely cut. So yeah, in the end, it's a lot of changes to go over, and obviously I don't have the specific data or changes to go over for each weapon. So I guess it's really just something that you're gonna have to find out when you play for yourself. So moving on to the next section, regarding character changes. Added warning for when your character is critically hungry and thirsty. Added red flashing to the hunger and thirst meters when they are critically low. Added blue energy drink and canned beans to your fresh spawn inventory. Beans will no longer be generated as regular loot. Added new jumping and falling animations. And just some other changes that don't matter much. So for this next part, I'm going to go ahead and spawn in as a fresh spawn. And if you take a look at the beans you spawn with, they're marked with your name on them. So if you kill somebody, you could take their beans and you could collect them, or you could eat them. Basically, you could just build up this small side quest with people's beans. Depending on what you want to do with them, change your whole course of your life. If I find anybody with my beans in game, I might have to ban you. That was a joke. Really, it's a little fun thing that added to the game that players could mess around with. If you're able to fill up a whole inventory with different people's beans, then I'll give you $5. But if you do, send me a picture of that on my Discord. I'll leave the link below. Like always, that'd be cool. I actually maybe might give you $5. But so moving on, next up we have some changes to the loot. Rewrote the loot spawning system to be more consistent and controllable, and rebalance all game loot to work better with the new loot group system. There were some technical changes behind the scenes that changed the way loot spawns, and basically everything in the game got rebalanced to how it spawns. So it might be a little different than it was before, and it's obviously an ongoing process. So there's going to be some feedback required on this stuff, so if you ever have it, go ahead and leave it in the Discord. But moving on again to miscellaneous changes, there's orange AK 45 round magazines now. Some new backpacks, parachute backpacks with color variants. Just for capacity, not functional, so you can't just jump off of radio tower and deploy your parachute. It's not going to work. New interaction sounds for various new interactable objects like the lights. Some changes to the baton, the shift damage, and bug fixes and technical changes. That really is about it. There isn't that much to show off in-game content-wise for this update, but the effects of this update will change how the game is played pretty drastically. And I've actually been waiting for this update release to continue my series that I recently started. So if you enjoyed this video, again, leave a like, subscribe, pay attention for more videos coming out soon. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.